Welcome back to Graspable AI. In this video, we're going to look at what research has to say about AI as a learning tool. Because this is, of course, important. If we want to change our teaching methods, we want to make sure that it actually works. And the main finding when it comes to AI as a learning tool is that we don't know very much. It's difficult to find any large studies. There are few meta-studies available, but there are in general few studies with more than 100 participants, which is very small studies indeed, most of them. And when you look at different studies, they use different methods when they conduct their studies. They have different contexts, and the technology they use varies as well. So some have standard chatbots, some have custom-made tools, some have some other AI tools. And in general, most of the studies are on higher education. Some of them are secondary school. Very few are for primary school. So we have very little evidence to use on those stages. And for most people, it's difficult to find studies relevant to their national context. I live in Sweden. There is like a few studies you can find, very small studies, and the same goes for most of the countries on this tiny planet we live on. And there is still no research on long-term effects, of course, because this technology hasn't been around for very long. Also, the technology is advancing quickly, which means that we can't really have studies. Well, it's difficult to find studies on the recent technology. And if you have a study using 2-year-old technology, it's, well, not necessarily useful for the AI we have today. All right. That being said, there are some patterns that you can find in research on AI for learning. And first of them is that there are positive effects. Most studies report positive effects. There are some reporting negative ones, but usually you can find good effects of using AI for learning. But how the AI tools are used matters, of course, and this is no surprise to teachers or, I think, any human. And what you want to do is to make the students think and spend effort, think about the things they are supposed to be learning. And the opposite, having the AI think instead of the student, is a bad approach. No surprise, but those are kind of recurring patterns you can see in many studies. Also, there are a few studies, supporting evidence that older students that are more independent learners and learners with more adequate background knowledge have more gains of using AI as a learning tool. Those were the more stable results that you can find in many studies. Less certain trends look like these. There are some studies reporting heavily accelerated learning, like some of them talk about twice the learning rate, things like that, or students learning twice as much on the same time, which is, I find it difficult just to put numbers on how much students learn, but some studies suggest that AI can significantly boost learning for students, and that's interesting. And this is not just simple tasks, but also AI is good for benefits in higher order thinking. It means that if the AI helps you with the simple stuff, you can focus on the more advanced thinking sometimes. In the cases where AI has shown to harm learning or to decrease learning, it is often, or maybe all the cases, unguided use of unguided chatbots. So a general chatbot not particularly made for learning, and the students don't really get any training on how to use these tools. That might harm learning. Learning languages might be a particularly good thing when it comes to using AI as a learning tool, probably due to the interactivity of the tool. So you can talk back and forth with a chatbot or some other AI tool in a way that is really difficult to do with a book or a video. It seems that AI does not increase self-efficacy. That means you don't get the feeling that I'm learning more and I'm more competent in this area while using AI for learning, which is kind of interesting and strange, even when you do learn more. And it appears to be no difference in learning effects between genders. So boys and girls are getting the same learning boost from AI tools, from what we can see right now. And remember, all of this is less certain trends, so there's kind of tendencies that we can get from the studies. I've also had a look at so-called AI tutors and studies on them, or reports from using AI tutors. And this is an image from, well, the Khan Migo from Khan Academy is probably the most known example of an AI tutor. So AI tutors are kind of chatbots or AI tools that learn about the student, their knowledge level, their preferences, and well, help them for a longer period of time. And they also report to teachers, so the teachers can follow along and see what the students are doing and how they are doing. There are some signs of doubled learning in higher education. So for the most independent learners, this might be really efficient. In secondary education, there are positive effects, but it's not certain that this is better than other interventions you can use to boost learning. Some other benefits, they have seen that students are less afraid to ask questions, ask these silly questions that a teacher might find annoying, I don't know, or students just don't want to disturb the whole class. They can always ask these questions to the AI tutor. AI tutor seems to increase engagement, which I think is a really interesting finding. And another positive thing is that it provides support at home. When doing homework and you don't have a teacher nearby or a parent that can explain stuff, then you can use an AI tutor to get unstuck on something. All right, so when reading these studies or looking at these studies, I've formulated a few recommendations that I think could be useful. Things that you should avoid when you're using AI as a learning tool is the cognitive ease, having the AI think for you. And this, sometimes it's intentional, like for cheating, but there's a lot of also unintentional cognitive ease that you should try to avoid. You shouldn't become dependent on AI as a crutch, using it all the time, and when you don't have the AI tool nearby, you're kind of lost. We shouldn't view AI as a silver bullet for solving all the problems or everything that has to do with teaching, or for everyone for that matter. We should also avoid short-lived interventions that you just, well, do AI learning aid for 2 weeks and then it's done. Things that you should strive for, because it seems to help, Socratic approaches, having a dialogue, well, that the AI helps the student to think, or interactive approaches, helping the students to become more engaged and do more things. Clear rules and guidelines. It's kind of obvious, but also a lot of schools saying, or students saying, that they don't really know what they're allowed to do or not allowed to do. And I think that's important to just make clear. Having support for students and teachers from the start when you implement AI learning tools, if you do that in your school. Try to use them so you have AI and teachers in combination in some way. So the AI is control or leading the work that the students do with AI. And also have periods without AI support to make clear that we can't always have this AI crutch available. You should be able to read 5 pages of text and make a good summary of the essential parts in the text, for example. Right. all of this, if I were to narrow it down into three key takeaways, it would be this. Number one, have AI as a learning tool seems promising, but more research is definitely still needed. And when you use AI, it should be with the intent of learning more, not to avoid efforts and just putting the thinking over on the AI. And AI seems to benefit independent learners more than others. And this might feel a bit sad, because that means that the divide between strong learners and weak learners will increase. But it's also a pointer saying that we should try to help students become more independent learners. And that might be more important. I would almost said that more important than helping them learn. I don't know if that's true, but it definitely becomes more important in this period of AI. All right. An exercise for this video as well. This exercise is to find research on AI as a learning tool that is relevant for you. So you can either use a tool called Elicit, which is built just to find research, or look into huge databases of research papers, or you can use Perplexity and ask for research that is relevant for your subject, ages, and regions. For example, what does research say on how 13-year-olds in Germany may benefit from using AI when learning mathematics? All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.